Hello and welcome to Moti Movie Monday. I'm your host, Lazy Universe, and happy Halloween, my dear viewers. Sorry, I had to. And in case you're wondering why, not in full costume or attire and just wearing the Bulbasaur hoodie, well, for one thing, you can check out my Halloween costume because I will put up pictures of it and a link of Twitter down in the description below. And I don't feel like putting all the makeup on and then taking all of it off. You'll see what I mean if you check out my Twitter at all. But happy Halloween, my dear viewers. It is my very first Halloween special, and it's certain to go out with a bang. In the good way, I mean, not in the bad way, in the good way. So, what movies am I going to be reviewing for Halloween? Some people may be asking. Maybe some classic Halloween film like Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2? Maybe in the future. But however, I am not talking about those films. I am instead talking about one of my favorite horror franchises of all time. Some people love Michael Myers and the Halloween franchise. Other people love the Scream franchise. Other people love the Friday the 13th franchise. And some might love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. All very good franchises. No, my favorite comes to us from Wes Craven, Nightmare on Elm Street. I own the entire Nightmare on Elm Street series, and at some point I probably will talk about them all. But however, I'm only going to stick to two films in this, and the other one kind of feels like the necessary sequel to the original, which came out in 1984. This was an idea by Craven that really gave him the director's approach that he really wanted. Because Craven, well, if you don't believe me, that's up to you. Wes Craven, before he directed horror, directed porn under different pseudonyms. But then he had his really big turn with with the Last House on the Left, and also the cult classic The Hills Have Eyes. But it was Nightmare on Elm Street that put his name on the horror map, and to which we are thankful, starring Robert Englund as Fred Krueger. So let's see just how the Terror Man introduced himself into our nightmares. What's happened to my worst nightmares? Oh, and I forgot one thing before we begin. And when I'm not haunting your nightmares and trying to kill you, I mean, trying to give you good dreams and thoughtful plans while giving you the hell bent nightmares that you wake up pissing your pants. I'm in my own universe reviewing movies. So, with that all being said, what's happened to a nightmare to ourselves with the original cult classic Nightmare on Elm Street? The original Nightmare on Elm Street begins with a mysterious man in a boiler room putting together something of unique interest, a metal claw. Well, after that introduction, we're introduced to our main character, Tina, or technically main character of the film, running through a forgotten hallway during the opening credits. This opening actually is really damn good, especially for this movie, opening up on a sinister scene shot of what the boiler room is, and especially a good taste of Freddy Krueger. Good touch on Craven. But it's not long before the man, the myth, and the mystery himself, Freddy Krueger, played by Robert Englund, is stalking Tina and is about ready to kill her dead until she wakes up. The next day, Tina tells her friends, Heather, played by Nancy, played by Heather Langenkamp, and introducing Johnny Depp back when he had a baby face. So Nancy and her boyfriend have an idea of having Tina stay over with Nancy and him while she kind of gets over her nightmares. But of course, Johnny Depp fashion goes horribly wrong when he lied to his mother. Things aren't made better when Rod comes over to try to get back together with Tina since they had an argument. And as you'd expect, it goes pretty well. Although why he threatened Johnny Depp when his career hasn't started yet, I have no idea. So Johnny wants to get into Nancy's pants, but she says no, much to his disappointment that they must be here for Tina and not for themselves, even though Tina and Rod go to have makeup sex. Ah, the glories of makeup sex. But after the makeup sex, Tina notices that something is going horribly wrong, and especially a puncher in the window that wasn't there before. So something bad is coming, and it's coming for her. But Tina forgets that she's a teenager in a horror movie, so what do you think is gonna happen to Tina, children? Why, of course, you're absolutely right. She's gonna meet the killer. And they introduce him in the most badass way that they possibly can. I'm not sure about other viewers of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, but entirely I like it better when Freddy wasn't played as a joke, but more so as a serious guy, as Tina runs away from the crazy clawed man. But unsurprisingly, this leads into the best death in the film, when Tina dragged across the room left and right while being cut up and sliced apart. Heather's father, John, played by John Saxon, comes along too, and this was after he did Enter the Dragon, so you bet that he's probably concerned about what the hell happened at this party. But Tina's death hits Heather really, really hard, and so poor Nancy has her ways and really can't concentrate and falls asleep, especially in class. I gotta give it to Heather Langenkamp though. She does play it seriously like she's actually not insane. She's a very professional girl, and above all, she's being stalked by a killer, but yet she plays it so seriously. But what's worse in the film is that her mother keeps believing that she is crazy when she's trying to tell her mother that she isn't crazy, but someone's coming after her in her dreams. The only problem is she just doesn't know who it is. It is until she brings out Freddy's hat from her dream, having no idea how she did that, as her mother figures it out who it is, and she's terrified that he's still around. According to her mother, they killed Fred Krueger because he was killing kids, and according to some other movies, he possibly raped them too, but it's never established. But Nancy called it bullcrap that her mother was lying to her all the time. It's even worse, her mother becomes an alcoholic, very badly mind you, and she locks in her daughter into the household, locking keys, chains on the windows, etc., so she treats her like a prisoner. But when Nancy has the idea of trying to bring Freddy out so people could kill him, this leads into probably the most infamous death with Johnny Depp, only entitled, "What a Gusher!" Anyone else craving fruit gushers? I have a serious craving for fruit gushers right now. I have no idea why. His room is filled with red dye coloring. Ain't that lovely? So Nancy decides since she's the last one, she's gonna trap Krueger. Home Alone style, of course, even though it's not Christmas time yet, but yeah, we'll take it. So she sets up trap for Fred Krueger when she brings him out of the nightmare. We believe that Nancy has gone to sleep. But the thing is, she's still in her house, still in her pajamas, and doesn't know if it's necessarily a dream or not, which is suspenseful, especially for Wes Craven, who I applaud for doing this. But Nancy eventually finds out that she is indeed in the nightmare realm, and it's time for her to go bye-bye forever. Like kid, of course, somehow she managed to bring Freddy out from the dream and humiliate him, and especially poor Robert Englund get all beat up in the scene. It's kind of funny, but I feel bad for the poor guy. But Nancy tried to call for her father and tell him who's in her house, but her father does not respond, not at first at least. Eventually, John Saxon realizes, oh shit, my daughter's in danger, as they follow the flaming footsteps upstairs, where Freddy Krueger is on top of her mother. A burning Freddy Krueger, mind you. And after they put Freddy out, her mother sadly, yes, and unfortunately, dies. But afterwards, Nancy decides to talk with the evil entity, known only as Freddy Krueger. Because according to Johnny Depp earlier in the film, if she doesn't give it power, then he's not powerful. So Heather and Robert have a nice little conversation about who's more powerful, Fred or her, and she humiliates Freddy by taking away the power that she had given him through fear. Nightmare on Elm Street is a cult classic film, and I highly recommend it even by me. But of course, I can see why some people might not like it, or some people might not enjoy it, but for this Halloween season, I'd give it a try. Not only the birth of Johnny Depp's fantastic career, but it was also the birth of Heather Langenkamp's career and Robert Englund as well. I would recommend it, and I would recommend that you check it out as soon as you can. Now, the next film that I'm going to be reviewing is technically what people call the successor sequel, even though a sequel to the original is technically Nightmare on Elm Street 3, one of my personal favorite in the series. But however, the more successful sequel of what happened 10 years later was Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Yes, I understand that this is a double feature, having both New Nightmare and Freddy vs. Jason, but yeah, I still have it anyways. I also like Freddy vs. Jason, and maybe eventually I'll review that film, but it's whatever. So, let's dive into Wes Craven's New Nightmare and see what exactly he wanted to change, and also a little bit of history behind this film, mind you, because Craven is a mastermind when he made this film, for more or less than you realize. And how can one person talk about his favorite film for 9 minutes? It beats me. So let's check out Wes Craven's New Nightmare and see what he had new that was cooking. The film opens very similar to the original Nightmare on Elm Street, in a boiler room with a man making a metal glove. However, it's actually being filmed, and Wes Craven plays himself in the background, and Chase is basically wondering if his new device is working quite properly, and it seems to be, as according to Wes, he's excited. But things go horribly wrong when they realize the claw has suddenly broken! So someone must fix it, and that someone is Chase. And also the special effects guy, go figure. And suddenly, in gratuitous fashion, the claw comes to life. The boiler room roars, much to everybody's confusion, including Wes himself. So what's actually going on? Well, Heather Camp actually having a nightmare. Yeah, really, actually, as they run downstairs as an earthquake happens to save their son, Dylan. But Heather, very similar to her character Nancy, is going paranoid. She has an crazy obsessed fan always calling her, she's getting mysterious letters in the mail. It just seems like the whole world is turning upside down after the original Nightmare on Elm Street. But on a talk show, she gets the opportunity to talk about her career as Nancy, and also about being a mother, and of course talking about her co-star, Robert Englund, who makes a dramatic appearance.
Rest of the band, let's say hello to Robert Englund!
So Robert, disguised as Freddy, comes out, and this is where we get a sense of what Wes Craven was doing, rebooting his series, because some people thought of Freddy as a joke, and really when you see this scene, it kind of is obvious. Wes wanted to bring back the terror with Freddy Krueger, and with this film he definitely does. As Heather talked to Robert about what's been going on, and also, yeah, they were actually real good friends, and they still are to this day, so go figure. And it's nice to see them talk like actual people. Heather goes to Robert Shea, the producer of all the Nightmare on Elm Street films, and talked to him about the new film that Wes had been working on, though he won't tell nobody what it's about, not even his close friend, Robert Shea. However, at home, Nancy realizes her son is acting weird. While reading Hansel and Gretel, not the darkest version that I know, he starts acting mysterious, kind of. Never mind that, when Big Daddy Chase is driving back home, he seems to be singing along with radio until he suddenly gets the sleepies and falls asleep at the wheel. Unexpectedly, yes, Heather's husband does die, although Heather's quote-unquote husband dies, and she takes a look at the body to realize that it was Freddy who killed him. Even worse, at the funeral, she ends up seeing Freddy Krueger dragging her son Dylan down to hell with him. But how can this be? Freddy's just a character. He's not real. Is he? While Heather talked to her co-star, John Saxon, rest in peace, he tells her that this is absolutely normal for a young boy to do, especially for a boy who had just lost his father, so his world is turned upside down right now. It's completely normal. But while over a phone call, it turns out that not only does Heather have the nightmares, but so does Robert, about a darker, more twisted version of himself, yet he doesn't know why. And even Robert Englund, a great actor, acts very mysterious in this film, and his son chills up my spine. I love it. One of the greatest things about this movie, I feel, is Dylan. The actor that plays him plays it so seriously about a little boy who's going basically crazy, but yet you just don't think that he is. I love this dude a lot. He's really great. So Nancy decided to take him to a hospital where he can be checked out by a friend of Wes Cravens who used to work for the MPAA, that used to think that Freddy used to be terrifying kids and giving them all nightmares, including to this film, and blamed children for letting him watch it. I love how Wes subtly puts into the place of Heather Langenkamp that she's actually turning into Nancy. It's a very slow transformation, but you still recognize it for what it is. It's not long before Nancy realizes something is not quite right inside of her household. That is until she is met by the one and only Freddy Krueger, played once again by Robert Englund. After she survives the attack, she suddenly rushes to the hospital wondering if Dylan is okay, when she realizes that Julie, his babysitter, is there too, concerned about the well-being of Dylan. It's not actually true. Dylan is actually being possessed by Freddy Krueger, very similar to Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. And what's even worse is that Freddy's trying to come through her son. But why is this? What exactly is Freddy Krueger in this film? Well, let me explain. In an earlier film, scene, Heather goes to talk with Wes as he describes what Freddy is, what actually is the evil entity that becomes Freddy Krueger in these films. According to Craven, this Freddy Krueger is an evil entity, something that's spiritual and chose the form as Freddy Krueger to possess. While not being all original, he wants to be Freddy Krueger, very much so, and very badly. He compared this version of Freddy to a dungeon, or a witch master, if you will, another film that Wes Craven has actually directed or had association with, as he told Heather that she's the only one that can stop him because Nancy stopped him in the first film. Back at the hospital, they're trying to protect Dylan and bring him home where he rightfully so belongs, but the hospital won't have it, including unexpectedly drugging a child just to get their way. Unfortunately, Freddy shows up at the hospital while scarring apart and tearing apart Julie right in front of Dylan, probably to make him terrified of the monster that he sees before him. While at home, Nancy's reality starts shifting and actually transforms into the movie where Heather is now Nancy and looking for her son, Dylan, as she watches the TV that's not plugged in that shows her that it's actually true, she's going crazy. I'm kidding, she's just in the nightmare realm. So anyway, she follows a trail of breadcrumbs, aka sleeping pills, to where her son is, to go have the final confrontation with the monster known only as Freddy Krueger. I actually do love Freddy's domain in this one. It's a combination of everything that we've seen in every film that put to new light. I actually really do love it, and Freddy does kind of appear the same way that he did to Tina in the first film. Nice touch. It's also when Heather realizes that the script is coming to life. Everything that Wes has wrote is coming to life. Everything is turning true, much to Heather's surprise and possible confusion. As Heather and Nancy has her final confrontation with Freddy Krueger, finally ready to take the son of a bitch out once and for all. After the monster destroyed, Dylan and Heather kind of circumstance upon Wes Craven's script as he thanks Nancy for coming by to play Nancy one last time and destroy Freddy, this time for good. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is definitely a cult classic, and I can see why, and it begs to be seen more than once by any and all viewers of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, myself included. If you're looking for something new and unique to watch this Halloween season, I highly recommend Wes Craven's New Nightmare. It's great, suspenseful, psychological horror, and just a fantastic all-around film. It's also great just to see the characters just be themselves, just that, themselves instead of their characters. So if you like me and you're looking for a new horror film to watch this year, highly regards recommend Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So what are my final thoughts? Do I really need to tell you? I mean, get both of these films right now. Go and watch these films right now, my children. Go and watch these films if you're so interested. Ewan. So as for Craven for Candy Day, or my Halloween special, what do I think about both of these films? Easily, they are really great. But let's go into some more details, why don't we? Nightmare on Elm Street is of course a cult classic in and of itself. The first introduction of Johnny Depp, the really great career starting Robert Englund, was a really great starting point. But the series after this, especially after part 4, or really 5 in my opinion, Freddie Mercury Freddie Mercury, yeah. Freddy Krueger, had been turned into a pretty much joke. So Wes Craven felt kind of bad when his cult classic film had been turned into a comedy, in which it was an intention he never wanted to see happen. So of course, he made New Nightmare, what some people would call the successful sequel to the original, and which I can see why. New Nightmare takes a new direction upon the film, and the natural idea that Wes Craven had to kind of reboot the franchise in New Nightmare was to take a look at doing just that. It's more suspenseful, more terrifying, and it easily is even more creepier than the original film, which I still do love to this day. So all in all, I check out both films. I probably watch the original, 5 films. Don't watch Freddy Dead, and then watch New Nightmare, and just see how it fits for you if you're interested. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me on this Craven for Candy Day. And of course, we all miss Wes Craven, a great, terrific director, a great friend to many, and also one of the greatest writers of all time. He will certainly be missed, even still to this day after he's been long gone for quite a while now. Anyways, next week I will be in my reviewer suit for the time being of November, and we'll see what my December suit will be like. As we'll be taking a look at Terror in the Sky Day, as I'll be reviewing 3 cult classic kaiju films for you all. And I know how much people do love the kaiju action, so I'm expecting a lot of people to be really happy about these films that I'm talking about. So, I'll see you guys next time in November, where we'll be talking about Terror in the Sky Day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to see you back in November. And we also remember, plenty more Mondays, plenty more movies. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I hope that you have a happy Halloween, have a happy and safe trick-or-treating. And I hope to see you next time. Plenty more Mondays, plenty more movies. And again, happy Halloween.